At 4:26 p.m., under the slowly dimming light of a Thursday afternoon in suburban Arlington, Virginia, 13-year-old Elijah Brooks sat quietly on the low curb of the Westfield Plaza parking lot. His cleats untied, backpack resting beside him, he leaned forward to adjust his shin guards from soccer practice. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead. His mom was always on time. 5 minutes late today wasn't like her, but Elijah wasn't worried. He was patient. He knew she worked a demanding job. And besides, waiting here was normal. This spot, Roby 3 by the row of red maples, had been their pickup place since third grade. What wasn't normal was the sudden whirring of a window lowering on a white Lexus RX SUV across the lane. "Put your hands where I can see them." The voice cut through the calm like a blade. Elijah's head snapped up. A white woman in her late 40s leaned across her steering wheel, one hand on her phone, the other trembling ever so slightly. Her sunglasses sat too high on her nose to fully conceal the tight suspicion in her eyes. "Yes, hello? Police?" "There's a black teenager skulking around the cars at Westfield Plaza. I think he's trying to break into one. He's acting nervous. Please hurry." Elijah's stomach plummeted. He blinked, stunned. Was this happening? His hands, still holding a cleat, slowly rose into the air. His heart hammered. He looked around, bewildered, but the lot was empty. No other parents. No teammates. Just him, a couple of birds pecking near a trash can, and a woman he didn't know breathing heavily into a phone while staring at him like he was some kind of criminal. "I'm just waiting for my mom," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. "Don't move," she snapped, stepping halfway out of her car now. "I saw you. You were creeping around those cars. You think I don't know what this is?" Elijah's throat went dry. He stood up slowly, backpack still at his feet, frozen in place by the rehearsed fear his mother had trained into him over the years. "If this ever happens, Eli," she had said more than once, "stay calm. Don't run. Don't argue. Do exactly what they say. Let them see your hands. Your life may depend on it." She hadn't been exaggerating. She knew firsthand. He was 13 years old. 13. And this was the second time someone had assumed he didn't belong. 10 minutes passed in excruciating slowness. The woman her license plate read L&D, K7, paced in agitation, arms folded tightly, keeping one eye on him like he might sprint toward her car at any moment. Elijah remained still, trembling slightly in his jersey. Then came the flashing blue and red lights. A police cruiser pulled into the lot with a screech. A tall male officer stepped out cautiously, one hand near his holster. The woman, Linda, it turned out, hurried over and began gesturing dramatically. "I saw him trying car doors. He was circling. He's up to something." "No, I wasn't," Elijah said softly. "Quiet," she snapped at him before turning back to the officer. "He was casing the cars. Look at him. This is a family shopping center. I have children." The officer walked toward Elijah slowly, face unreadable. "Sir, I need you to keep your hands visible." "What are you doing here?" "I'm waiting for my mom," Elijah whispered. Another cruiser rolled in. 2 more officers emerged. Questions began flying at him in clipped tones. "What's your name? Why are you here? Do you have ID? Where's your mother?" Elijah answered each one quietly, but the doubt in their eyes never left. And then, like thunder cracking through a summer storm, a deep engine roared across the pavement. A sleek black SUV skidded into the parking lot, barely braking before the door flew open. Out stepped a tall, commanding black woman in a tailored navy blue suit. Her heels clicked like gunfire against the asphalt. Her ID badge glinted gold in the sun as she marched toward the officers. "Elijah," she called out, eyes darting toward her son, then to the officers, then to the woman standing smugly nearby. "I'm Special Agent Regina Brooks, FBI," she said, her voice as cool and sharp as the steel edge of a blade. She held up her badge with steady hands. "And that is my son." Everyone froze. Even Linda, who up until that moment had looked puffed up with righteous indignation, shrank slightly. "I want to know," Agent Brooks continued, "why 3 officers are surrounding a child in a public lot, accusing him of criminal behavior based on a single phone call." The lead officer, visibly shaken, adjusted his collar. "Ma'am, we received a report of—" "I know exactly what you received," Regina cut in. "A report based on racial profiling. This boy has been raised with more discipline, integrity, and awareness than you will ever find in a training manual. He is not a threat." Linda's face went pale. He looked suspicious," she said feebly. "No," Regina said, her voice low and deadly. "He looked like your fear. That's not the same thing." The silence that followed was suffocating. "I should press charges," Regina said, glaring directly at Linda. "Filing a false report. Endangering a minor. But I won't. Not today. My priority is getting my son home. Safely. Which, thanks to you, is something I can no longer take for granted." Elijah exhaled slowly as she reached his side. She placed a firm hand on his shoulder, then drew him into a hug. He melted into her arms, the tension of the past 20 minutes spilling from his body in silent tears he fought to hide. The officers mumbled apologies and slowly backed off. Linda stood rooted, her arms folded again this time, not in defiance, but to hold in her shame. Regina guided her son to the SUV. Before stepping inside, she turned back one last time. "You may have called because you saw a threat," she said to Linda. "But now, what you see is power. Remember that the next time you pick up the phone." The car pulled away, tires whispering across the pavement, leaving Linda frozen in place, her mouth slightly open. Elijah stared out the window as buildings and traffic signs blurred past. His mom's hand remained on the steering wheel, tight with unspoken anger. "I'm sorry," he whispered. She glanced at him. "For what?" "I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong." "No, baby, you didn't." "Then why does it feel like I did?" She didn't answer right away. Her jaw tightened. "Because sometimes," she said finally, "the world wants to make you believe you're less than you are. That your presence is dangerous. That your skin is permission for suspicion. But you have to remember, Elijah, you don't owe them comfort. You don't owe them stillness. You don't owe them anything." He nodded slowly, looking out at the fading sun. That night, over dinner, Elijah remained mostly quiet. He played with his mashed potatoes, barely tasting anything. His mom watched him from across the table, her eyes softer now. "You know," she said, "there's a file on my desk at Quantico with your name on it." He looked up. "Why?" "Because you're my world. And someday, when you're older, I want you to see the notes I've kept. Every school award. Every moment you made me proud. You're not just my son. You're my legacy." A tear escaped down Elijah's cheek. He didn't wipe it. In the days that followed, the story of what happened at Westfield Plaza spread. A few witnesses came forward. One had filmed part of it from her car. Local news ran a small segment. Mother steps in as FBI agent to defend son from racial profiling. The headline went viral. Conversations were sparked. At school, some kids looked at Elijah differently. Not with pity, but with a kind of quiet admiration. He had lived through something many of them had only seen in YouTube clips or newsreels. And he had survived with dignity. Linda never approached them again. But every time Elijah passed through that lot, he saw the ghost of that moment of fear, the flashing lights, the way his knees had felt like Jellyanne. He stood taller. Not because it didn't hurt, but because now he knew that standing tall was resistance in itself. One act of ignorance had nearly branded him, but one act of power, his mother's power, had reclaimed him. And that, more than anything, changed everything.